Breaking news tonight. The White House is in chaos as staff members have initiated an unprecedented lockdown of entire floors, sealing off access amid reports that former President Donald Trump has lost control in the explosive internal emergency. This isn't a drill or a routine security measure. It's a desperate response to what insiders are describing as a meltdown of epic proportions. Just hours ago, in the heart of Washington, D.C., alarms blared through the iconic building as aides and security personnel scrambled to contain the situation. The target, Trump himself, who was reportedly on site for a high-stakes meeting with loyalists and advisors. Triggered by a bombshell court ruling earlier this morning from the Supreme Court, denying his latest appeal in a sprawling legal battle over classified documents and election interference charges, the decision was made behind closed doors in an emergency session called by senior staff. The ruling, which upheld a lower court's order for immediate compliance and potential contempt charges, sent shockwaves through the corridors of power. Timeline: this unfolded minutes ago, with the lockdown order issued at approximately 11:45 p.m. Eastern Time, catching even the Secret Service off guard. Eyewitness accounts from anonymous sources inside paint a picture of pandemonium. Raised voices echoing through the halls, documents being hastily shredded, and Trump allegedly raging against the walls, demanding overrides that no one could provide. The White House press corps was evacuated under pretext of a technical issue, but leaks are already flooding social media, with hashtags like #HowTrumpMeltdown trending worldwide. This action by the staff isn't just procedural, it's a clear signal that the guardrails are failing. As the lockdown persists, floors housing sensitive operations, including the Situation Room and executive offices, remain inaccessible, with armed personnel stationed at elevators and stairwells. The immediate catalyst was Trump's refusal to acknowledge the court's directive, reportedly shouting orders to fight back and mobilize supporters, which alarmed staff enough to invoke internal emergency protocols designed for threats to national security. In a stunning twist, this isn't coming from external forces, but from within the very apparatus that once shielded him. The decision to lock down was unanimous among the on-duty team, made in a late-night meeting where fears of escalation to violence or unauthorized actions prompted the move. As we speak, reinforcements from federal agencies are en route, underscoring the gravity. This breaking event marks a pivotal fracture in the ongoing saga of Trump's post-presidency battles, where legal entanglements have now spilled into physical containment. Stay tuned as we unpack what this means for the nation. This is not routine procedure, far from it. In the annals of American political history, a White House staff-initiated lockdown against a former president on its premises only happens when confidence in leadership collapses entirely, signaling a shift from protection to enforcement. Institutional behavior now indicates a complete loss of patience, with preparations for force if necessary to prevent further destabilization. What we're seeing is the machinery of government turning inward, treating Trump not as a VIP, but as a potential liability. This only occurs when control slips beyond recovery, as evidenced by the rapid deployment of barriers and communication blackouts. Adding fuel to the fire is the betrayal unfolding in real time. Former allies and GOP insiders are no longer defending Trump, their silence deafening from key names like Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and House Speaker Mike Johnson. Party leaders, once vocal in their support, are hedging bets with cautious statements about respecting the rule of law, a stark pivot from unwavering loyalty. Insiders report private reactions as pure panic, with aides distancing themselves through leaked memos and quiet exits from advisory roles. Public loyalty has been replaced by damage control, with committees like the Republican National Committee issuing neutral memos urging calm rather than rallying cries. The political meaning is crystal clear. They see what's coming, a cascade of consequences that could dismantle the MAGA apparatus. Even longtime confidants such as Rudy Giuliani and Steve Bannon have gone radio silent on social media, refusing to comment despite direct queries from reporters. This turning point reveals fractures in the Republican ranks, where self-preservation now trumps allegiance. As the lockdown holds, whispers from Capitol Hill suggest a Senate mutiny brewing, with GOP senators privately discussing contingency plans to isolate Trump further. The betrayal stings deepest from those who rode his coattails to power, now viewing him as a sinking ship. This shift isn't subtle. It's a calculated retreat, with donors pulling funds and endorsements evaporating overnight. In the broader context, this unprecedented signal from the White House staff, invoking lockdown protocols typically reserved for active threats, underscores a belief that Trump's actions pose an imminent risk to stability. The move has activated interagency alerts, with the FBI and Department of Justice on high alert for any attempts to circumvent the court order. As tensions simmer, the narrative has evolved from political theater to a genuine crisis of authority, where betrayal from within accelerates the downfall. The air in D.C. is thick with anticipation as what began as a legal setback morphs into a full-blown anarchy on the Hill. This action activates a chain of enforcement mechanisms that were once considered unthinkable in this context. With the Supreme Court's denial of the emergency stay now final, the contempt proceedings against Trump are no longer hypothetical. They are procedurally required. The lower court judge, already on record expressing frustration with repeated delays, has the green light to issue fines, asset freezes, or even an arrest warrant if non-compliance persists beyond the 48-hour window outlined in today's ruling. Possible outcomes now include seizure of remaining classified materials still under dispute, immediate referral to federal marshals for transport if Trump refuses to appear, and a formal removal process from any lingering security clearances or advisory roles tied to government contracts. One move now forces the next through legal obligation and automatic triggers. Failure to produce documents by dawn tomorrow automatically escalates to a nationwide warrant, pulling in U.S. Marshals Service assets already positioned in the D.C. metro area. Behind closed doors, the coordination is chillingly efficient. Institutions are acting in near-perfect silence and speed, suggesting a shared belief that resistance is weakening and that any further defiance could spiral into open confrontation. Strategy phase has clearly shifted to containment and isolation, with White House staff, many of whom served under multiple administrations, treating the current occupant of the visitor suite as the primary threat vector. Their objective appears twofold: control the narrative by limiting Trump's access to unsecured phones and external comms, and prevent escape, literal or figurative, by keeping him physically contained until federal authorities can assume custody if ordered. Sources with knowledge of the internal emergency playbook describe the lockdown as Phase 3 activation, reserved for scenarios where executive branch personnel believe an individual is attempting to subvert lawful process from within federal property. The decision to seal floors wasn't impulsive. It followed a rapid assessment that Trump's shouted directives to aides, including demands to contact sympathetic military figures or rally crowds outside, crossed into territory that triggered mandatory reporting to the Attorney General's emergency line. This suggests not just panic, but a calculated judgment that the former president's influence, once a political asset, has become a clear and present danger to institutional integrity. In the dimly lit command posts now operating on restricted floors, senior officials are quietly drafting statements for release once containment is assured, emphasizing that the measures protect both the building and the constitutional order. The speed of this response, from court ruling to full lockdown in under 6 hours, indicates pre-existing contingency planning, likely updated after prior legal setbacks. What emerges is a portrait of a government apparatus that has quietly prepared for this exact moment, moving with the precision of a machine that no longer trusts its former operator. Expect the next few hours to be defined by public defiance statements, emergency filings, and counter orders that could push the crisis toward open rupture. Trump is already attempting to break through the communication blackout, reportedly using smuggled devices to post fragmented messages on Truth Social, accusing staff of treason and calling for immediate mobilization.